Greetings, heroes and Force users of all ages, and welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. As always, I'm Dino Nicandros, and I'm joined by my friend Daniel Dawson.
Hello there.
And a longtime friend of our show, who I believe we're having on for the first time in video form, if you're watching on the YouTube.
Icon.
Chris Villain.
What's up, you guys? That was an intro. Whoa.
And today we are talking the newest movie from DC, The Flash, which was directed by Andy Muschietti, written by Christina Hodson and Joby Harold. And by God, we're Flash fans?
Yeah. Question mark?
Question mark?
That's not a question.
I don't know who you are or where you came from.
I am Iron.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Smells like a new car in here.
Inside the Tauntaun, this is our opening song. Alyssa, Daniel, Dino, talking nerd stuff, come along. Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.
Hello, Chris.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be
Chris,
here.
I'm so happy you're finally here. I don't know why this took so long. Because every single time I was like, oh, do you want to do it? And you're like, yeah. And then we just haven't done it.
I feel like I did one through Zoom like once.
Yeah?
Yep.
Like during pandemic.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes. Well, I mean, for those of you that are like uber Tauntaun fans.
Like
guys,
Tauntaun Year 1.
Yeah. You may have listened to our radio show version of...
That was so cool.
It was dope. It was the Twilight of the Apprentice.
Twilight of the Apprentice
Yes.
was Star Wars Rebels, and our friend Chris here played an Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Very scary Inquisitor.
And also, freaking what's his face? Can you give us an Ahsoka?
Oh, Captain. That's right.
Give us your best Australian accent.
I couldn't possibly.
Do it. Come on.
I really couldn't.
For the fans.
We're gonna lose all of our listenership in Australia.
Okay, no, this is gonna be. You guys need to go back and watch that one. Do you have access to it?
Oh yeah,
it's on YouTube.
Then I won't do it now. You have to go listen to it.
Oh, look at
cop-out.
that!
We
What
love a
good
cop-out on this show.
tease.
Possibly.
Yeah,
We
it's a
love a
good tease.
cop-out.
But yeah, this guy is also a prolific Twitcher. He's on Instagram. He's on all the things. Is that the word? I don't know.
It is a word. Yes.
He is. He's a very, very, very important
and
person.
vocal cords kissed by the Lord God.
By Lord God.
Wow. I'm just gonna go to this podcast all the time. This is great. I love this.
You hear that, Alyssa?
Yeah. You hear that?
You're done.
What's your handle again?
What's Alyssa's handle? I've abducted it now. It's not mine.
You purchased it. Oh, that'll show her. Wait, what is your handle?
It's literally just Chris Villain.
Oh yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to find. There you go. But yeah, you should follow him. Do it, you stupid people.
Appreciate
Do
you.
it now.
Appreciate you.
So, as we said at the top, we are here today to talk The Flash, which is...
Is that what we're talking about? Okay.
Yes. It's been highly anticipated, especially given the shakeup at DC with James Gunn stepping into the Kevin Feige role, as it were.
Yes. Well, not to mention the giant that is a very low word. The giant praise that James Gunn gave it, being the greatest superhero film of all time.
Indeed.
Is what he said.
That is what he said.
That's what he said.
Direct quote.
So generally speaking, was it?
I don't know if I don't know if I want to start it off that way.
No, you're not starting.
Because
that sounds negative.
Well,
you're right.
yeah, because it's not.
Yeah, right. It isn't. Was it for you?
No, I mean,
No.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was great.
I would,
especially in terms of DC films that we've gotten in
Yes.
the recent past. It
was by no means bad,
no means bad.
No.
but by no means the greatest.
No,
of all time.
James Gunn.
Respectfully, humbly.
If we were to call this the bookend to the Snyderverse,
Sure.
just it's not that, but I think for your brains, these are the Snyderverse characters. So
Yes.
we'll just say this is kind of the closing chapter of that. It was one of the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
As you
Easily.
said, out of what has come before, I think if this had been the standard, after Man of Steel, then I think they would be on much better footing.
Yeah.
Like the first Wonder Woman, the first Aquaman, like both very decent films. I think that this one stood out for sure.
Yeah. I think the only other DC film that I was like, ooh, was Wonder Woman. The first one.
Yes.
And I was like, this is great.
Well, and now we got these, like, I guess they're not standalones anymore because we have sequels coming out, but, like, we also had, like, The Joker. We also had The Batman, which were
and for those watching on
very
YouTube,
decent.
this is an RPAT hat.
Oh,
okay?
yes.
Specifically, I want that to be known, and I will bring that up later.
Wow.
very specific.
But yeah, as you mentioned, like the standalone Batman films, those are what are now being deemed Elseworld stories.
Right.
So they're not going to be in the new DC continuity, but
That we know of.
That we know. Well, yeah.
Currently.
we know of.
I mean, not speaking super generally, but a little more specifically, since this film has come out and now is kind of like written what potentially is like the rule of law for the DCEU and the multiverse in the DC universe. It seems that Flash has caused this multiverse now, and so the Batman and the Joker and all those things are within this multiverse that he's now created.
Theoretically, they
theoretically
could be in
say
play.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, right. Yes. I mean, as that montage in the movie demonstrated, yes, anything that has ever fallen under DC's banner is now
Yes.
in play.
Chaos.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. But generally speaking, I think it's safe to say we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Let's go around the table and what moments worked the best for you. And Chris, since you're our guest, I would love to hear
Sure.
where this film resonated.
Okay. Also, we're entering a massive spoiler zone, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure,
If you're listening
for
to
sure.
this,
Okay,
this is not a general recap.
Yeah,
but thank
yeah.
you for doing this.
So, like, for me, I think my favorite part, and like, I don't cry in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not my thing.
Sure.
But when I tell you I was sobbing,
Mm.
like ugly cry at like the end with him and his mom,
Oh.
like wrecked me.
So sweet.
Wrecked me. It was so well earned.
Yeah.
And like so well placed, and also like it wasn't like the way that they like crafted that moment, like nothing felt disingenuous, nothing felt like overdone. It was just like a very sweet moment, and that's all it needed to be, and it wrecked.
I mean, it was a pretty it was a fragile moment, because I think that it could have easily been done not well, because like he's literally going back in the past to like not kill his mother, but kinda,
basically,
you know, at least in his mind he feels that way, you know, so like that could be it could have easily been done in a terrible, not good way, and you would have lost all of that, but it was very heartfully done. It was
like
nice.
Multiple tears running down my face. Like,
It was sweet.
I was dying. It was great.
You need, and that's the thing. You need heart. That's it's so important. And I'm truly like, in all of the like successful superhero films, I think you could probably say that there's been at least some form of like really, you have to have the heart of the film. It can't just be all action and splashy and cool CGI.
Yes, and I think to your point, that scene was very effective, and I really think when stood up against previous DC films, it became such a stark reminder of what they lacked.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking specifically of like Batman versus Superman, where we're supposed to that they come together over a shared bond of their mothers.
My mom's name Martha too.
I wasn't going to say it, but thank you. But it felt just so hollow and unearned.
Yeah.
And once you've kind of screwed that up, it's hard to recover.
It's a valid observation. Yes, your brothers are both named Martha.
It's so weird because like stuff like that on paper, and when you're watching it, it looks so easy, and it seems so easy when it's done correctly.
Yeah.
But like when it's not done correctly, it's like blatantly
Woo!
obvious and like tragic.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's something to be said that, DC aesthetically has really leaned into its dark comic origins, and I think the problem they've encountered, and this is coming from the opinion of somebody who doesn't know how to make movies like this.
Sure.
It seems like they tried too hard to translate comic books to the screen, and you'll note that like when you're reading a comic book or even a novel, and that the dialogue on the page flows beautifully and it makes sense and it's very effective, but when transposed onto screen and you're making two actual human beings say these things to each other, it doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound but believable.
The medium really it makes that work.
It gets lost in translation a little bit, and I think that's what DC has suffered from, and I think what Flash captured, especially at the end, was that is a human moment. You believe something like that could happen.
Yes.
And it probably happens all the time, not those circumstances, but
yeah, right.
I don't think people are
Happens
necessarily traveling back in time to kill their mothers.
That we know of.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
you never know.
But yeah, that was a great moment for sure.
Yeah. Great moments with Mr. Lincoln.
What was yours?
God, it's hard to say. I mean, I did really, really love that moment too. If I'm just gonna like pick something different, oh man, I mean, I really did enjoy Michael Keaton. I think the part that
full stop period.
Yeah, full stop period. Yeah, exactly. They're like hearing the I was like,
Danny
those
Elfman.
simple things are just like so fun. I know, like we kind of I've even often on this podcast complained about like being so obsessed with the nostalgia train and like being so susceptible to it, and sometimes being kind of like oh god, what's the word? Like it's not treating the audience like they're I like like putting the what's the word I'm looking for? I think that like sometimes like they can use nostalgia as like
as a cover for storytelling.
Correct. Yeah, like
fan
they're
service.
fan service, and they're overcompensating because there's not enough story there. But like here, it felt because it also was different. It's not our Michael Keaton. It's a different Michael Keaton. But still close enough that like makes you get the memories and the chills. And I like the moment where the bat wing like goes up into the freaking moon, like just like in the movie. I was like, oh, that's great. That's a fun
really cool.
callback. I guess that's not really a moment. That's just like Michael Keaton, full stop.
That could be, he is a moment,
and he also like is like a very well versed actor, and like I was hearing the words that were coming out of his mouth because I was trying to not be super cognizant of it and just like listen and enjoy, but like the words weren't necessarily like really.
I want to talk about that later.
Yeah, like the script wasn't like super thick, but like he is making a meal out of a snack.
Yes.
And it's not often that an actor gets another go. I mean, it's been kind of a recent development, whether it be Star Wars or where you have legacy actors coming back, and I think that's probably my favorite bits too, where Michael Keaton imparting wisdom on this very chaotic young man.
yes.
The difference between the two, I think, is what I think it was such a great idea to bring Michael Keaton back specifically because of his life experience, and it kind of, you mentioned this, Daniel, and I was thinking it during the movie where it almost felt like a very meta experience, mirroring Ezra's.
There were certain conversations where it's like, is he talking to Ezra Miller or is he?
Yeah, where life is like super chaotic for them, and Michael Keaton's Batman just kind of grabs him by the shoulders. Like,
hey,
yo,
take a sec.
Yeah.
Life is hard and life is complicated.
Yeah, even Ezra was talking about themselves, and I was like, yes. And I was wondering, I would truly like, it sounded so meta. I was like, did they do that on purpose? Because like,
I mean, the movie was already being made when
that was going on.
Yeah, I mean, or before.
After.
Well, before.
Oh, was it before?
It was before.
Before
a lot of the more.
Oh, because this got delayed so hard, right? Yeah.
And it was really how the dilemma they faced was, how do we market this movie now?
Yeah,
and
right.
Is he are they still in the family? And
Ugh, it's so hard. I know it's like in these kinds of situations, it's so hard to be completely non-biased and like but we have to bring it up. I mean, like was that in the back of your head like throughout the film, or were you able to kind of like just like erase the fact that he allegedly like went into somebody's home and beat them?
Don't laugh, Daniel, please.
Just like,
we've all done it.
yeah, we've all been there.
It was when I sat down to watch it, but I have to say honestly, I wasn't thinking
You weren't
about
there.
it. No, I was able to.
I mean, you are usually fairly evil though, so
it's true. Like I do excuse really horrible behavior. But it's not dissimilar to like I've rewatched House of Cards after the Kevin Spacey stuff.
It's
and
a brilliant
it takes
show.
a sec, but then you're like,
oh, he's so fucking good at that.
Artist,
correct?
And watching this movie is not an endorsement of that behavior.
Of course not.
I really don't think that.
No.
Some do, but I don't.
Yeah.
But I do think it was a really interesting experiment in the on-screen characters' just chaotic behavior matching their off-screen behavior.
Totally.
And I do think that's why Michael Keaton was
Perfect.
Such the perfect Batman to be the foil for that.
I had a very unique experience because I was
You were
watching
there.
I was watching it in the same room.
Yes, tell us exactly.
Tell us.
Like,
Yeah. So I was very privileged and thankful to go to the red carpet for The Flash. And
like in the front fucking row, right?
Yeah, kind of in the front row.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, that was for
that was
Destiny.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, right. Which
Oh,
we'll also
God.
talk about in a
Well,
later
yes,
date.
Another time. No, it was very interesting. Like the whole experience was very interesting because as being invited to that event,
Yes.
under somebody else's like brand,
Sure.
I'm like, this is already super layered because like what can I say and like
Sure.
what should I say as
Mhm.
opposed to like what's actually happening,
Yeah.
you know? And then there's the added layer of like, regardless of what I think, like because this topic is very sensitive.
Yeah.
Do I post about this? Do I not post about this? Like,
Totally.
do I say I'm here? Do I not say I'm here? And it was
That is challenging.
It was a very interesting experience. And then when I was there at the carpet, Ezra, there was rumor that they weren't even allowed to be
Oh
at
shoot!
the carpet.
Really?
Like was the kind of whispers going on
Because they were just afraid for safety and that sort of thing.
I mean,
like they were afraid they were going to have like picketers
Sure.
or something.
I can imagine
All of
several
the above.
reasons.
Yeah. That's
but
fair.
then they showed up, and then it was like, wow, okay, Ezra's here, and like it was interesting because they were simultaneously like not addressing the elephant in the room in a way that I don't know, because like you can't really in that environment, but also like they glazed over it just enough to where we were all made aware that like, yeah, we know. And before the movie started, Ezra, they gave Ezra a mic.
Yeah.
And they did like a little speech, and you kind of felt the whole theater like, what's gonna happen?
God,
What
my
are they gonna say?
anus is so clenched.
It was a little weird, but like they said no more and no less than what they should have.
Okay.
Like they handled that very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they said something to the tune of, I'm paraphrasing, like they thanked a bunch of people, and then something to like
I didn't do it.
No, they said like they thanked some people for like giving them grace and like a second chances and things like that.
Sure.
I was like, oh, that's sweet. I don't think you should have said any more or anything less than that. No, please go away now. Please go away.
That's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
And they did,
Yeah.
and it was great.
Okay,
I was like,
great.
Oh
wow, so they did like I'm actually kind of surprised that they
we were
even
all
said
very
that.
surprised that a speech was even allowed.
Yeah.
But that being
Woo!
said,
That was very chaotic
it
choice.
was a very chaotic choice.
Yeah.
That being said, it was hard for me personally to kind of like detach from the artist and the art.
Was that before you watched the film? Or
Mhm.
so it was right before.
It was like, welcome everybody, and like Ezra.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Man.
And so it
Oh,
was just a
man.
little like it just in that specific scenario, because it was like they're right
Oh,
there in
of
our
course.
face.
They're there with
Yeah.
you. They're
Yeah.
sitting next to you.
And then like
Well, and you're. I mean, like, well, I don't know because we've actually talked about this before because like we have different views on whether or not people deserve second chances, and I guess it depends on what they do.
sure,
of course,
sure.
But
I live a very normal, not extravagant, crazy, thrill-seeking life.
What?
And I mean, in the sense of like, I'm not breaking into people's homes.
Current.
Do you know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yet.
Thrill seeking.
Yes.
Thrill-seeking. We use that term loosely here.
I was like,
But like, yeah, it was a little more difficult for me to like detach. That being said, I
Yes.
was able to at some point.
yeah, okay.
It was
Somewhere
just,
somewhere down the line you were able to kind of forget and just
Yeah,
enjoy the film.
yeah. But honestly, and this is a topic that I want to ask you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell if that was just because the movie started off one way and then got to somewhere else.
Oh,
Or if I found myself really not. I don't know how to say this without sounding like mean.
Are you talking about like the tone of the film or like
The tone, but also like I wasn't sure I liked Ezra's like character choices or like acting at the beginning as opposed to like later on,
Mm-hmm.
and then also as opposed to like his 18-year-old self, whom I love.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just there was so many different things I was juggling.
Interesting. So, out of the two iterations, you liked his past version.
Loved him.
That-
Loved him.
I was not a fan.
Really? Okay,
I
let's
was
talk
not a
about
fan
it.
of 18-year-olds.
Well, yeah, I think part of the maybe part of the disconnect for me. It's not that I didn't enjoy him. I was just like, you're not 18 years old.
Okay,
It's like,
well, duh.
I think it was kind of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
My-
It was funny. I think that made it funny because
Sure.
it was very like put on.
Sure.
Like, and
I
that's
think-
like what 18-year-olds probably would say.
Yeah.
You know,
with the least
and
amount
how
of
they like.
pretension.
He's like his silly like laughter and
with the least amount of pretentiousness, normal Flash or normal what's the Flash's name?
oh
the normal Flash's name.
My God.
Yeah.
Why are we all drawing blanks?
Flashy
Something-
McFlashenstein.
It's something like Billy. It's
That's
something,
right, Barry.
Barry.
Perry.
Um,
Mike Barry Allen.
Like normal Barry just felt like a little schmackty to me,
Sure.
which is fine. Like
Sure.
that's a choice, and they
Mhm.
did that choice well. Where like I think it was like a character that didn't need to be a character, where the 18-year-old was a character and it was done as a character and it was great.
You know what though? You're not. I think I didn't understand what you're saying because they're almost like it's like they were almost in two separate films. Like they didn't find the same vibe and tone.
I don't
until
know.
like
I-
later on in the film.
I think that's fair, and maybe
I wonder if they were like also like filmed at very separate times too.
well,
So,
and maybe
like,
I'm blaming young Flash for the incorrectly. Maybe I'm blaming young Flash for the disconnect in when they do have those couple of moments where older Flash is like, nobody likes you, just shut up.
Yeah.
And like that should land harder.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
I didn't really
Sure.
take anything from that.
Sure.
So I don't know. Maybe older Flash is the one to blame, and I thought. I think they both had their moments. I thought a few of older Flash's moments were a little more resonant than younger Flash, because I generally found younger Flash to just be.
Like a like one level like.
But you're not
deep.
wrong in that there were some unnecessary isms that
Where
that
he's just
normal
like, oh, gosh,
Flash has.
I mean,
I'm just.
that being
So
said,
nervous
I
and-
still love the film. I still
Yeah.
thought it was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
If I'm looking at it from that point of view,
Mhm.
there was a little, and like it's hard to say because like you never really know. Is that the director? Is that
Fine.
the actor? We don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. You're absolutely right.
You don't know where that's coming from or
And
whatever.
also the writing too.
Yeah, it could be a multiple of things. It didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But that does not say it didn't work. You know?
Yeah.
Sure.
No.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because like there were definitely. I 1000% agree with like the character choices. Like here, it wasn't like all the way through, but there was a certain times where it was like, it felt like oh, I just want him to be like like super nervous. So you kind of felt him like doing the nervous thing.
But that went away.
It did.
It was just laid on thick at the beginning, and this I was like, it took me. I was like, I don't know if I don't like this beginning because Ezra's here and I'm dissociating, or if it's like I don't know. I had a.
It's like we were establishing all of his like character traits, but it was like a little too obviously, maybe. I don't know.
I think there's something to that, but I will credit their performance in that as it slowly fades away. I think that was actually a really good character choice in that. Oh, I have to be the responsible one now.
Sure, he's like he almost had to like become
like
a parent.
I've got to grow up.
Yeah,
now.
That's valid. That is valid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's again going back to the art imitating life, and that Ezra in real life is able to have moments of self-awareness, and that in others maybe not. I wasn't there, but seems like perhaps there's a lack of self-awareness. Same with Flash, and that it's an interesting. It's an interesting case study in movie making, honestly.
Yeah, kind of.
I think we'll be talking about this one for a multitude of reasons for a long time. But I think
people are going to be doing like side-by-sides of like...
Yeah.
I think, you know what I mean?
My heart hurt for like them and the cast because I think originally, correct me if I'm wrong, this movie was supposed to be some sort of a reset for the DCU.
Sure.
And like it hurt me so much because I'm like,
there was a lot of possibilities.
It would have been a great reset.
Yeah.
It really would have.
Yeah.
Like it was set up so well, and also like just the timing of like maybe the last few DC movies not doing so well, and then this one doing well, and then also like
apparently
reset. And
it's apparently not. Well, it's doing fine.
I mean, it's made over 150 million.
I think it's at over 300 now.
Is that worldwide?
But it's very. But I think that they were looking at the box office for like
their opening weekend was not
what was it Black
Adam.
And Black Adam did better than this.
I have a lot of opinions about the movie, none of which we will be discussing today.
We don't need
I will have a very...
You also went to that one too, right?
I went to a screening where The Rock was at.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, let me ask you that, because you've attended premieres, and it's a question I think I've always wanted to ask people who frequent them. So,
what's it like being cool?
What's it like standing on the carpet?
Please.
But what goes through your head when you're trying to balance like the integrity of your actual opinions about the movie, versus I'm so grateful to be here for this opportunity, and how do I
measure?
Have you ever? I think a better way to ask it is: have you ever encountered the problem of like, oh, I don't think I really liked that.
Yeah, do I
like,
want to promote
this?
If
I say 100% what I'm thinking, will I get invited?
Yeah, am I obligated to him?
You're touching on an incredible question that I'm constantly debating.
That I cannot talk about. No.
Well, it's like, it's adjacent to the question you asked, and I'll touch on that, but I want to say this first. Is that like, when you do go to these like premieres, red carpets, and like, there's a level of like pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
That there obviously should be.
Yeah.
But when you go...
Is there an obligation to promote?
It depends.
It depends.
Sometimes, like, I will sign a contract that, like, I have to do X amount of posts, or, like...
Sure.
And without breaking, I think, any NDAs or anything, sometimes some contracts we, like, make sure you represent in a positive light.
Sure.
And if you want talking points, here are some talking points.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Gotcha.
That is the case sometimes. Other times, there's no obligation. They're like, here, if you want to post, here are some things, but you don't have to.
Sure.
And then those times they're not paying you. They're just like, here's some free tickets, come see it.
But there's this weird, like, the star's right there. I'm right here. The red carpet. Oh, Hollywood. Whoa. So, and they create these events to where when you go and watch the movie, no matter what, you're having a great time. The movie's great. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on.
The
environment matters.
The show, and
and
I mean,
so,
not you, but they booze up most people before the show.
And so the first few that I went to, I couldn't name them off the top of my head. I'm trying to think. But I was like, fantastic, best movie ever made.
I had a
this
good
is great.
time.
Yeah.
And then like the reviews come out, this is the worst movie ever. And I'm like, wait, what? Am I like crazy?
Was I wasted?
And I have to like take a step back and like remove the fanfare of it all to be like, was it actually good? I don't know. I have to go see it again.
What was I on?
Because they do such a good job of creating such a good event and a good time.
Yeah.
There is, to answer your question, sometimes, and in this case in particular, I did actually genuinely enjoy it.
Yeah.
But there was a hesitancy on, because I wasn't obligated to post.
Sure.
I was like, do
I? Should I?
Yeah.
Because I know
That's fair.
there is room for this to upset people.
Yeah.
Regardless
Sure.
of what
Totally.
I say.
Sure.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to upset anybody, but also
Yeah.
like,
and you want to do what's right.
yeah.
And, yeah.
I don't know if I would have ran to see this movie if I wasn't invited.
Sure.
Fair.
Sure.
Not to say I wouldn't have seen it at some point, but like,
I think that is the case for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which is why it's potentially underperforming. I mean, I'm not sure where we're at right now, but
Well, and to kind of segue to underperformance for a movie that when the trailer came out, even after all of the disastrous headlines about it, I think people were pretty amped.
I'm glad you
to
brought up
see
the
it.
trailer because I have a question for all you.
But DC has not done themselves any favors with their last few movies, knowing full well that James Gunn is coming in and erasing it.
basically, more or less,
pretty much.
That's
Yeah.
our understanding,
or
as of
at
now.
least making them less important.
Sure.
Well, right. If they're not going to be, because the DCU, as it's now being called,
Mm-hmm.
that's its own thing. Like the Snyderverse was that, and we're not touching that anymore. And that's evidenced by like Henry Cavill. He's not back as Superman,
I know.
which, I would have loved. My kingdom for a script for Henry Cavill.
I know.
The man can do no wrong? Question mark.
I
He's
know.
perfect.
He's a good actor, and
And a gamer. Oh,
And a
Um,
gamer.
I know.
but I don't think you help these movies when they're like, well, what does the Flash mean for all of that, other than the universe has been reset?
Right.
But
And unraveled.
unraveled.
When the movie finishes and we get like the kind of, again, I feel so weird in saying this, but we were talking about the whole movie, so it's spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The George Clooney bit at the end.
Yes.
Iconic.
It's so
Yes.
iconic. I know.
Now,
Give us nipple Batman again, please.
if I was in
so
the,
many gay awakenings from that film, literally.
if I was in the captain's chair,
Yes.
we made the movie.
Yes.
Yes.
Chaos ensued.
Correct.
Yes.
We have room. We've made room
Yes.
for pretty much anything. To
Anything.
happen.
Literally anything.
And there's also like, hey, let's make a quick post-credit tra-la-la.
Mm-hmm.
Could they have maybe possibly given us another Flash at that point?
Yes, they could have easily have done that. Easily.
Should they have? I don't know.
I mean, they haven't officially abandoned Ezra.
No,
that's
they
the thing.
haven't.
Is
And that was my follow up question. Not the one that I was thinking about earlier, but it is a follow up question. It's just like, what did they do with Ezra? Are they gonna? My guess, if I can answer it first, is I feel
Yes.
like they're gonna be put on a shelf for a bit.
I would guess. Yes, so
with,
like not necessarily in the trash, but a high shelf.
let's
somewhere.
see what public perception of this looks
Sure.
like.
Yeah.
3 or 4 years from now.
with everything that's going on, they morally can't move forward.
No. I mean, they could, but probably.
I'd be surprised if the worst that was happened was shelved.
Yeah,
Because essentially they could just get erased. And like,
potentially.
should they? I don't know. I don't know.
It kind of depends on them, honestly. They really do have like a long way to for recovery, for lack of a better term. Like
Sure.
there's got to be like the proof has got to be in the pudding.
I just get crazy when like something like that happens and they'll keep the person in play, and then
Mhm.
something like the Batgirl where like nothing happened and they're just
Yeah.
like, we'll
Tax
change our
write-off.
mind. We're
Yeah,
getting rid
what
of
the
the whole thing.
hell?
Another
I mean-
movie Michael Keaton was supposed to be in.
Oh,
so.
right, yeah. Oh,
I don't
man.
know. Where I'm like, if we're following the like how things have been going, then like
Mhm.
I'm not saying trash the whole thing, but trash the whole thing.
Maybe.
Like I don't know.
Well, and do you think... So it sounds like, based on them getting a tax write-off for Batgirl,
Mhm.
it sounded like it was a really, really bad movie. My question is, could it have done more damage for DC than what you've already done in terms of rolling out films that in even 3 years' time won't matter to what they're doing? I feel like they've sabotaged themselves either way.
Maybe.
I'm not like a financial expert, but I still don't understand. Like,
You're not?
No, I'm really not. I have trouble finding the logic in I've spent X amount of money on this movie, and by not releasing it and potentially gaining just a little bit of it back, that's more value. Like, just getting rid of it completely is more valuable than at least trying to make a little bit of something back. If disregarding the damaging the DCU,
you have to kind of look at the bigger picture.
I feel like we're beyond that in this scenario. I don't know.
I mean, well, I would imagine at this point they are estimating that after they advertise the movie, which is usually $100 to $200 million of advertising, that they weren't going to make money off of it if they released it. Which it's not hard to imagine because there are several big movies out right now that will be hard pressed to break even.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the timing of all these films are like really. I know that and this is kind of off topic, but like even Tom Cruise, you heard all that news about the Mission Impossible film?
With the IMAX, fighting for IMAX
he's
screens.
He's just like, we gotta move it. We gotta move it.
Well, he's asking Christopher Nolan to move it, and you don't ask that man to do anything. And I think he told him as
much. Like, excuse me? What do you
think? Detonated a real atom bomb, you asshole. And you're gonna watch it in IMAX.
Oh my god.
No, I wonder, too, if the conversation... And I want to steer us back to The Flash, but I do think it's worth talking about.
Yeah.
We hear superhero fatigue anytime a big superhero movie underperforms. Has the public finally had it?
Yeah.
My opinion on that, having just seen Across the Spider-Verse and a very good Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Absolutely wonderful, yes.
My opinion on that is no, we're just tired of mediocre superhero movies.
Yeah, whoa. Just take the
and that's it.
I think that's it.
Stop.
Endgame wasn't that long ago.
No, I was like, stop worrying about your bottom dollar, and we don't need to have 20 movies every year.
No, and it never used to be that way. No. But I feel like once streaming happened, and I remember the summer after Endgame, August 2019, when they were rolling out Disney Plus, and like, this is our slate. Everyone was really excited. Then you flash forward, it's like, whoa,
said Flash!
We just had, we just had 4 Marvel TV series and 2 movies, and all of them matter, even though they told us that wouldn't necessarily be the case. There's too much of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is synonymous with fatigue.
No.
It's like, I just demand the quality you used to give us.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not like superhero fatigue, it's mediocrity fatigue. Like,
right.
I'm tired of, like...
It feels like we've been given more bread, but we have the same amount of butter.
Yeah, you're spreading it over too much bread.
Yeah.
I mean, like, not to get off topic, but like Marvel set such a high bar for themselves, and also being a part of such a incredible machine that Disney is, like, of course they pumped out like a crap ton of content.
You're telling me we can make how much?
Yeah, especially after Endgame. Like, realistically, who wouldn't? It's unfortunate that it came at the cost of like good qualityness.
And you know? I guess it remains to be seen because we're still like, which is crazy because it feels like it was like a whole age ago, but we are still feeling the effects of the pandemic. Like, because a lot of these films that are still coming out are like pandemic age films, so it remains to be seen whether or not, like, once we kind of like catch up with ourselves, I guess, for lack of a better term, that maybe things will improve.
And we've talked about it previously on the podcast about Kevin Feige has publicly stated and is now demonstrating that they are slow rolling their entire movie slate.
This is good.
So but back to the schedule it used to be on. Like, maybe you get 1, 2
realistic schedule.
Maybe you get 1, 2 movies a year. Well, I mean, they've done as many as 3 before, and it worked. But also the TV production, just slowing that way down.
It is pretty crazy, especially with how, like, Disney is, like, really fairly good keeping, like, negative things under wraps. But, like, the fact that it got out from numerous sources that, like, the CGI people everybody
Overworked.
was way overworked.
But it didn't even have to get out. You could see it.
Yeah, correct. And I think that was why it was just like I was like, we have to say something because everybody is talking about it, and they're like, it's not our fault. We're really trying so hard.
When their standard for excellence has been unmatched, and you know they can still do it because like I just speaking to my own opinion, like I loved Wakanda Forever. I thought that was quality Marvel.
Yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy, great.
I think this will be an interesting segue back to
I think it's a perfect segue.
Flash.
Actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So speaking about the CGI in the Flash, like, do we feel like even though like Marvel has in recent years has kind of suffered in quality, do we still feel like I thought for me, and maybe this is like my thought, it's a completely different style because like CGI is art. You know what I mean? It's not.
And DC and Marvel have their own aesthetics,
style and aesthetic.
And
Absolutely.
Marvel or DC's very gothic, operatic,
Yep.
high concept.
Yeah, and it feels a little bit more, larger than life, and maybe not like as like realistic,
surrealist. It may be a little more surrealist.
Yeah, maybe that's the better word.
Yeah.
So yeah, but even all that, like I think that throughout the Snyderverse, I felt like it like just whatever that vibe was, like kind of took me out of it, and this is the closest it's ever been where I was just like I didn't feel like thrown.
Interesting.
Maybe was it less?
I know where you're going, and I have a mix of both of these.
Okay,
you say you first.
So when they're in when he's in the Speed Force,
yes,
or no, not the Speed Force, when he's traveling
through time
with the Speed Force, so they had a very surrealist depiction of the multiverse
sort
and
of
all
kaleidoscope,
the right? And
effect.
It should be noted that the director said this was his stylistic intention to kind of make it different. Be that as it may, it took me completely out of
all of it. Yeah, sure. That in particular, like that. I was mostly talking about like the fight scenes, the times where they have their like posy, like, which is such a DC thing where they're like, I'm gonna pose.
It's a splash page on a comic book.
Yes,
and
yes,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's different than Marvel, but
that being said, like the Wonder Woman moment, like that took me out because unfortunately it is such a memeable thing, like where like she pops up, like with her one-liner, you know, it's just like okay.
I am so torn because like I agree with you.
Yes,
where I'm like, this is if it is a stylistic choice, it's a very odd stylistic choice.
Yeah.
Considering, especially, and like, I wasn't there behind the scenes. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in post. Considering that the stuff that they were replicating in those moments were real.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they couldn't grab from the real footage.
Sure.
And also, if you weren't going to grab from the real footage, why it ended up looking the way that it did.
Yeah.
It just looks like halfway between.
It felt, and this is not a quote from me, but one of my friends, it felt like a PS2 like jump cut. Like
that's funny.
But that's what it looked like. Like, and
for
which is kind of like a low jab, but I'm put them side by side. Like I don't know what to tell you.
Well, and because honestly, I'm at least in terms of the like multiversal, I don't even know what you'd say, but like the times where he's in like the Speed Force mode or whatever you want to call it, like that was like, I don't know if it was like cheap, but kind of, but like where they were showing the globes like smashing into each other, and like it was just like looks like strips of film kind of. I know it's just like an artistic thing.
Yep.
So here's my other point. Here's my other thing.
And it's a hard thing to like. I mean, it's a hard thing just to even like grasp in your mind. But like, and so how do you visualize that? And it's such a I don't know.
The flip side of that opinion coin for me is it like I actually wasn't too bothered by it. I was like, okay, that is weird looking. My question.
I also wasn't like it didn't take me out like it did for you.
It didn't
just like it maybe wasn't like my favorite.
But I took note of it. I was like, interesting.
Yeah. I think we're more on the same page potentially.
Do I think that way, or do we think that way? Because we've gotten used to this, like, potentially overworking our CGI artists to the point where they give us something so incredible and that's not achievable under realistic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a CGI artist,
sure.
but, like, we're comparing it to something that has come out that we're overworked to death. This is not an achievable thing.
Well, and the cool thing about that, the Speed Force thing and the multiverse and all of that, like, it's such a, existential, like, nobody knows what the fuck it looks like, if it even exists, obviously. So it's like, you literally, like, your imagination is is the only limit that you have, you know, well, in technology, I guess, in order to show that.
Sure.
So they did have, like, an infinite amount of, like, things that they could have done, and it felt like it was
a weird choice.
Yeah, maybe it was a little too on the nose, maybe.
And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about moments ago about Marvel's standard for CG, but also the just the built-in aesthetic differences between what Marvel's trying to accomplish and what DC is.
Yes.
So I have to, whenever I'm kind of like crafting an opinion on this, I have to take that out of the equation because they're not going for the same imagery.
Right.
Valid.
That said, I can't help, like, for instance, when I was watching the Snyder Cut when it came out in 21.
Yes.
And we get Darkseid in that movie, who predates Thanos in terms of comic history, who came first. And Thanos was definitely kind of Marvel's answer to Darkseid. I think that's the most glaring example to me of what Marvel was able to achieve digitally in terms of making me, like, believe a living, breathing character. I think Thanos is, like, one of the finest achievements
he looked great
in motion capture ever. And then I think about, like, Cyborg, one of the members of the Justice League, versus Iron Man, and how one looks like, that technology exists, and the other looks like a PS2 rendering.
Yeah, right.
What is that?
And I don't know what it is, and I can't chalk it up to stylistic differences at that point. Because it's like there is a way to...
It's probably, I mean, every frame is dollars, lots and lots of dollars.
And
so I imagine it probably has something to do with money.
I think so, but you look at these budgets, it's like where is
they
it
going?
Because Flash, was a $250 million movie, just like any of Marvel's.
Right.
But how do the products consistently look a
little
less clean?
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. And, like, also, how do I even say this? You know how there were multiple parts of the movie, obviously, where we get two Ezras, and there's, like, some kind of deep faking, quote unquote, I use that term loosely, going on.
Yeah, sure.
So we have to assume that there were two actors.
So there was a stand-in.
Okay.
There was a stand-in, and then they had Ezra's face put on them.
That makes more sense.
I don't know the logistics on, like, how Ezra then mirroring or whatever,
doing ADR, probably. Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that?
Well, you know what? I always forget. Like, I have to take a step back because, like, from the days from, like, Back to the Future, where we had, like, two Marty McFlys on the screen, like, or actually, like, I don't know, it's a really cool effect, and it's, like, hard to do. So it's like, good for you for at least kind of, like, making me kind of forget, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my first thoughts. I just, like, I had to sort of, like, remind myself, like, this is a hard thing to do,
I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
I know some people did, but I didn't.
Really?
That was fine.
Yeah, I honestly didn't have an issue with that. Like,
I
because it always, like, eye line is hard, like, when they're, like, looking at each other, but I thought that they did
pretty well, considering
job.
most of the movie
is
comprised of that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where most of the money went.
Maybe.
Honestly.
It's challenging.
Yeah.
But since we're kind of talking at a macro level still about,
the
DC and Marvel, I couldn't help but wonder if the fact that Marvel has already started their multiversal journey before DC really kicked in, if that is also hampering my ability to invest.
Yeah, you can't help but compare.
You can't not
you can't not
have to.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like,
and
it's unfortunate, but you can't.
Yeah.
And are we at a place in superhero movies where this idea of the multiverse is going to start hurting the overall product because it's all going to feel like one giant mush of storytelling?
One giant bowl of spaghetti.
Right.
For lack of...
Yes.
I feel like... This may be a controversial opinion. I feel like okay, obviously Marvel created like debatably like an entire genre of like multiverseness with like drawing different like nobody had done that cinematically.
How could you say that?
No, that's not the
Oh,
controversial.
that's not it.
thing.
Okay, sorry.
Buckle up.
No. They essentially created the genre that they're working in.
Yeah,
right?
kinda.
Yeah.
And I feel like because they created that, and like they're doing it so well, that, like nobody can touch them doing that, right? And nobody should try to.
I mean, would they? You know, I'm a few like steps back in the more recent years, but I mean, they still have done some really amazing things. But
agreed.
Yeah. Multiverse has been tough for them.
Yeah,
so far. But the overall depiction of it,
sure,
yes.
Yep.
And I feel like DC, I don't want to say messed up, but I feel like they tried to hop on too soon with the Snyderverse stuff, where instead I feel like a smart thing would, and this is obviously like as a not multi-bajillion-dollar company I'm saying this because like anybody else would have acted differently. They should have really sat in the shadows for like a hot minute and waited, weirdly enough, probably until right now where Marvel's kind of starting to dip and be like, okay, we got it now.
Here we go, bitch.
Here's everything here's what worked, here's what didn't work, here's what they're doing now. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then probably should have pressed go on their own little machine. I feel like that would have been really smart because they would have all the data instead of falling through like a Snyderverse and a this and a that, and then like I don't know.
I mean, it's to maybe their defense, like this movie. I guess in that case, I guess if we were going to go in that scenario, they would have had to trash the film and just not show it.
Sure, but I mean that my opinion
because technically they are like they did kind of wait until now because like James Gunn's first like real film isn't coming out until like when is the Black Beetle coming out?
Soon.
Or Blue Beetle?
Blue Beetle. Was that later this year? I think it's
maybe.
I think it's later this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like that timing almost ish.
And then in addition to that, to help the like because DC has kind of tried to parallel so much that they've made it almost impossible to not compare.
Yeah,
I've said this since day one.
Well, that's also the comics too. The comics were the same.
Sure.
But I would say DC Comics though, if not equal, or I mean, if they're not equal, they might be slightly better than Marvel.
Sure.
Yes.
And in a lot of ways, yeah.
And I think they tried to capitalize on that and have kind of failed.
Faltered.
My humble opinion.
Yes.
My humble opinion is like Marvel does, and I say Marvel does Marvel well, meaning the genre that they've created.
Yes.
Like they do that so well. Don't try to touch it. Like you're going to fail, right?
Sure.
Where DC succeeds so much, and I'm so upset that they don't do this more, is the hat that I'm wearing is like, give us the dark grittiness.
Yeah.
Don't give us all the CGI. Give us the practical, like, give us the R-Pat Batman across your entire brand.
I'm glad you brought it up because
perfect.
Because
Marvel can't do that.
When they brought in the Michael Keaton, I was actually hoping that was the vibe that they were going to go for, and they were going to bring back the practical stuff from the 80s, which they did a little bit. But when we got into like his fighting mode, it all got CGI.
The only reason I say that is that Marvel built a brand now where that can't exist. Like they can't give us dark, gritty, potentially rated R-ness.
Sure.
And
although I hear
Deadpool. I mean, it's not gritty.
Sure.
It's R.
But, like, for the most part,
yeah.
And I'm like, that would be such a perfect avenue. And, like, it would make it so easy to not compare. And they're doing their own thing. They're doing their own thing. They can coexist. It's great. Everyone's happy.
I don't want to get too off topic, but, like, quick little teaser trailer. I've been hearing that the Secret Invasion is supposed to be, like, the more gritty. Is it, like, not, or...
That's not a short answer. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
teaser
starting
trailer.
Tomorrow.
Teaser trailer.
You mentioned it. The problem for really the last 7-8 years is that DC has been trying to do what Marvel has done in half the time.
Right.
They saw those Avengers movies even before Infinity War and went,
fuck.
Oh, God.
They're making so much money. Why can't we do that?
And so they rolled out that first version of Justice League, which we don't have time. Like, it's not for this episode.
What?
But they rolled that out before even introducing a lot of individual characters, because they're like, we got to capitalize on this IP right now. We got to have our own Avengers. We got to do it now.
We didn't. I mean, we didn't even get a Flash origin story.
And Marvel
until
was
now.
meticulously giving every character their moment. Then they bring them together, and then rip them apart, and then bring them back together.
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
And that works. It still works.
Yeah.
But DC also, to your point about going the dark and gritty route, I think they've done that.
Yeah, because
because Batman Superman was just maybe it was the color grading, or it was a relentlessly, literally dark movie.
And then they literally came out with the black and white version because they're like, this is art.
But having them speak in hushed tones and then
we're gonna get some hate mail for that because I know there's a lot of people out there that fucking loved that shit.
Still cast us, please.
No, and truly,
these are fan opinions.
Yes, and I don't wrong anybody who believes that it is art because art is very subjective, and you have the right.
But you don't make something dark and gritty by speaking in hushed tones and you're beating somebody to a pulp. It's the Batman is a perfect example of it. It
was wonderful. I loved it.
It was literally, and I will die on this hill without fall. I know people will fight me on that.
No,
it was without fall.
Well, and being dark and gritty also shouldn't preclude or shouldn't shy away from moments of
the music still gives me anxiety.
Of levity of. These movies are just so relentlessly bombastic, and so you can make the case Marvel is too, but Marvel found the heart.
It did.
Marvel that's their bread and butter.
And even the heart and the ability to poke fun at itself, so that that we're like it's serious, but it's like it's not that serious,
right? And
I feel like they didn't create that, but they sure shit polished it up. Like that's their thing.
And where Superman has fallen short is that his counterpart in the MCU, Captain America, has been given this beautiful, fleshed out story. And yes, it's a little on the nose and tongue in cheek and corny, but then so is Superman. Like they're very much mirror images of each other in terms of I can't do wrong, as written. So
we are representing the
ideal,
the hope and ideals of America.
So how do you put them in situations where they're tested? And Marvel has done that really well with Captain America, and I think with DC, they just put him and Batman in a movie together, and just, I'm angry about this, and I'm angry about this, and this is serious stuff.
But my parents' name is Martha!
We're both wearing capes, and this is serious.
Yeah.
But it's not, because you can't go to that grandiose, dark place if you don't have that underlying human quality.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why Pattinson's Batman works. Look, and that's why a lot of the standalone that's why Nolan's Batman movies worked. Because, yes, they were dark and sad and kind of, there was always a feeling of hopelessness, but you still had that belief that
it's
things can turn out
reality.
okay. It's grounded in reality.
I think DC should just really,
go back to the roots.
Given all the context of superheroes and the chaos that brings, should really just ground in reality and just gritty it.
Yeah,
whatever that means.
Just like our production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Chico.
Post-apocalyptic, gritty.
Yes.
Very much based in reality.
Tommy, you've never seen it like this before.
Black and white. Black and white.
Oh my god, a black and white version of Joseph. It was black and white and black and white and white.
Oh god.
We always have to have some kind of a musical reference on the show.
Good.
It's very, very important. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You guys should go see that show.
I don't know when this episode comes out, but it's really good. I was there.
Oh, jeez.
What did we think of? We haven't mentioned her yet. Supergirl.
Oh, I like interesting. Like,
and would you like to see more of her?
Potentially.
I have a controversial opinion.
Well, no, it might not be controversial. I think I like the idea, and I just thought that like her, and I in her universe, she did get the short end of the stick. Who knows how long she's been in that prison for, and she's she's really like she's like a darker and more like, less hopeful super person.
She really turned on a dime, though, didn't she?
She sure
Saw a couple
did.
Humans get vaporized. Like, my worldview's
On
changed.
second thought, yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, but I think that her overall vibe kind of was like it felt off for some reason. For me, I guess. Because I think that she is fine and she did a fine job. I think
played by Sasha Kelly.
Yes,
yep. Legend.
Yeah,
we love
legend. I think maybe it was maybe we just didn't have enough of her to really maybe believe where she was coming from potentially.
I didn't disapprove of the tone of her character or her worldview. I was like that. It just needs more time than they were willing to give her in a Flash movie.
I think that's what it is for me too. Yeah,
that's what it is because I felt like she
needed some more time to cook.
Yeah, she did a great job, but it was like bluntly like a throwaway. I'm like, you've given me no time to connect. I don't know anything about this version.
Right? Why should I care?
Like, why do I care?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Exactly,
and that's the problem I have with near every DC movie, where I'm like, this is too much. Like,
right.
Give me a solo franchise so I can connect with this person,
and then you have earned the big set piece.
Like, I can't even keep track of like what was her. Was it Carla? What was her name? I can't even tell you. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Carla. That's right. Or Carl.
I don't know
Because there's Kal-El and then there's.
My point
Carla.
Exactly is that we can't even remember this character's name. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I will say
too much.
In going back to the Marvel universe too, like a lot of the movies that have
Cara Jor-El.
There it is.
That being said,
she did an incredible job.
She did a great job.
I just need more to make my choice.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good thing when we want more of you.
Yes.
I was gonna say that films in the Marvel universe that have had less than performance tended to have the same issue where, like, for instance, like the original Spider-Man films, like 1, 2, like arguably a lot of people are like Spider-Man 2 is like the best of the
Tobey
Marvel.
Maguire, or
Tobey Maguire.
The originals.
Was like one of the best ever. And then you get to Spider-Man 3 and there's like
too many
characters,
so many villains,
and you don't care about any of them. Yeah, you can't connect exactly.
So stop doing that. Can we stop doing that?
Yeah, and I know that part of the reason for this film is like the chaos is part of the charm because there's just so much happening. But like, I guess I think that maybe it's like. There was a feeling that like the director like wanted us to care about that character, like and we wanted us to feel that they were important, so that when they did die, that we would like feel like a tug.
Well,
or something
and
like
that they were expecting us to transpose Henry Cavill, Superman's relationship to Zod. We were supposed to just take a 1-for-1 transposition and put it on her, and
sure,
and have. Feel the weight of their relationship. But Michael Shannon said it. He said it recently. If I were in his position, I think I would. I wouldn't say this wouldn't be my opinion, but he said he felt really hollow filming Zod a second time for the Flash.
Interesting.
He said it was I was just a
shell.
An action figure to be pitted against other people, and he then went on to say that he kind of thought he had recently turned down a role in Star Wars at some point in the recent past.
Oh, jeez.
Which, yes, if you're a Star Wars fan, that's not good news.
Oh, man.
We've been deprived. But he said, I don't find much joy in doing meaningless entertainment. Which we wouldn't have a podcast if we thought any of this was meaningless.
Yeah.
But to his point about Flash, he did feel hollow. I was like, oh, Zod's back.
Yeah. Well, truly, there was a lot of ways.
And it was a variant of him, to use a Marvel term, from a different universe in which Kal-El was killed as baby. But there was no difference.
They used so much CGI. They almost could have just gotten away with just using previous footage.
They didn't need him. Which, you had Michael Shannon So
Right.
maybe give us a slightly different variation on him.
Yeah.
But it was like, no, this is cut and paste Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And then we're throwing Michael Keaton and Supergirl in there. And it's just like,
That's crazy because I didn't even think about that until you brought it up, and you're 100% like, that's it.
That's it.
Whoa.
yeah, he's like, what? He's like, what was the point of
What
me
was
in
that?
this?
Yeah.
He was 100%.
And then he spoke to his experience because a lot of people were like, well, you did Man of Steel, so like, is that meaningless? He said, well, no, I felt at the time that story had something to say about how humanity would react to someone coming from space. And,
Well, and he did like murder millions of
yeah.
people.
Well, and then putting
pretty intense.
and then putting Superman in the position of having to kill somebody.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, totally.
I did feel like Zod, that just that whole set piece, and then having Keaton's Batman, which it was undoubtedly cool, and you had you had his theme music, his Danny Elfman theme music, and all of that. And all of that is visually cool.
Yeah,
but these Kryptonians were whipping Henry Cavill's ass, and then you have Michael Keaton out here, just
easy peasy,
just easy peasy. I'm like,
easy peasy lemon squeezy. I mean, it's a different universe.
It's fine, but I don't know.
Also, I will say too, and I hate like my brain for knowing this, but the fact that in the final act that the big battle took place in a flat desert environment, like there might have been an artistic choice because it makes you like really focus in on the people, but usually CGI people will know that is a much easier and much cheaper thing.
Well, they also don't have to deal with the conundrum of, wow, these people just killed thousands of people and we're not going to address it at all.
Yeah.
You know what I thought was really cool? And that like maybe it was something as a viewer that like I didn't catch on to until the point I was supposed to, was when Flash is in Speed Force bubble tralala.
Yep.
And we start getting peaks of like creepy version.
Oh,
I was like, what?
Yikes.
And then like at the very end, blew my mind.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. I was
yeah.
Oh my god, of course. So good. That was well done.
But it was like there was a movie buried in there that was like that was the stuff I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Like dealing with future you.
Yeah. And it's so dark and having to like...
they get there, but... And we talked about it at the beginning. Like, there was just some tonal...
The tonal stuff at the beginning, like, it was just weird. And, like, the movie becomes so good. And, like, I laughed, I cried, I did all the things.
Yeah.
And I was surprised.
I know, the way we talk, it makes us sound like we, like, disliked it.
I really liked the movie.
It was a good movie.
But, like, it just takes
Enjoyable.
a minute. It takes a minute to get there. And that was definitely not to say it wasn't without flaw.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I mean... I liked it, but also when I say I liked it, that's also relative to the movies we just talked about.
Sure.
Like,
right, correct.
Sure.
Justice League, and it's like it was better because
my arms were like less crossed because I was like I didn't have a high expectation. That being said, James Gunn did tell us that this was the
but I remember we said on the podcast.
There's no way.
It's
not possible.
It's not.
Oh, okay. Here's a question. Well, actually, I have two questions.
What is?
First question: do you agree with the Rotten Tomatoes score?
What was it?
I believe it ended up at 65 or something. Let me go back.
I think it had a fan score of like 95.
Yeah.
So
I on tradition.
Well, okay, what Rotten score would you give it?
Yeah, I tend to like not really agree with Rotten Tomatoes frequently.
Yeah.
Less so now than ever before.
Yeah.
I think actually.
I probably would have put
Indiana's
it
56 right now.
I probably would have put it like mid to low 70s.
Yep.
Sure. That's probably where I would have put it.
I probably same.
And like you pass. Yes, that was good.
Yeah, I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I was right.
Maybe closer to 7.
It's at 65 right now, and the audience is 85. So it's funny because we are smack dab between the audience and the critics.
I feel like 85 is a bit giving,
maybe a little high.
The highest I would go, like if I had a gun to my head, was
maybe 80. Yeah,
was the highest I would go.
Yeah, and like a B minus.
And like I could go there. I could do that.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page for sure.
I wonder if it would have, because I'm not a devout Flash fan. Like I wouldn't put him in my pantheon of superheroes
He was like
enjoyed
the
most.
first superhero that I like emulated as a child.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I really liked running and stuff. So
But like, because I think
I even have I still have a membership card that literally. Oh my! I'll show it to
See,
you.
I
after the podcast.
preferred Quicksilver in the MCU to Flash.
Dang.
Sure.
Dang.
So I think that's just a preference.
Okay, so you know how this was marketed as the best superhero movie of all time?
Yeah.
What is your best superhero movie of all time?
Daniel.
What is it?
Daniel.
Oh, Daniel.
You're gonna throw it to me first?
Yep.
You know this is the
1,
worst choice.
2, 3.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3. Say it.
I have a finger gun into your head.
I didn't know I was gonna be asked this question. Damn it.
Okay, no, I'll go first. I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have two. I have two.
Mm-hmm.
One, this is a cop-out answer, but like it has to be addressed.
Yeah.
Actually, not this movie.
Yeah.
Surprisingly,
I have one in my head.
I would say the OG Christian Bale, like first one.
Yeah.
Batman Begins.
Batman Begins, only because.
Well, people still to this day believe that. Well, not that first one, but Dark Knight is the best.
And like I would argue that because it's like,
oh shit, sorry.
One, it still holds up. Two, taking in context of like when that movie was made and like pop culturized what was going on at that time. There's no way that should have been like successful as it was.
Yes,
but it was. You know what I mean? And also just like it's good.
Yeah,
like so
combines so many different genres into.
Yeah, it's emotional. It's a mystery.
It's a crime movie.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Batman always does it for me, man.
Yeah. Fun answer.
Which is why there's so many iterations of it. Just because the Batman is such a uniquely wonderful story.
Bonus answer. Third bonus answer is this movie because I love this movie. This
it was so good.
One.
It's
so
art.
Good. It is art.
It's art.
But I think my like fan answer is the new Spider-Man.
Oh my god, it's so good.
No, not Spider-Verse. Not Spider-Verse.
Oh.
The
No Way Home.
No Way Home.
It's so good. It's beautiful. But I mean, truly, Spider-Man kills it. I mean, as far like there's like a few there's a few super people that are so uniquely loved, that are so universally loved, and Spider-Man is like by far one of them.
That's by no means a technical answer. That's strictly like fan service answer. Like,
yeah,
that was,
but it was
so
it was
great.
A beautiful film.
Yeah.
It had heart. It was funny.
So
it was exciting. It was nostalgic. All the things, and it was fan service, but it really done well. Yeah.
So I have a 2-tiered answer here.
Okay. I have it. Yeah, fine.
So I have a tie. I'm answering 2 different questions, but for my favorite superhero, well, I guess if we're saying best, they both came out in the same summer.
Mm-hmm.
The Dark Knight and Iron Man.
Oh shit. Okay.
Iron Man, huh?
Yeah. Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And that has developed over time because I thought it was dope when I saw it the first time. But then knowing what it all became, I was like, holy
wow.
And that's hard to ignore.
It's hard to ignore, and also the art mirroring what Robert Downey's life was like right before Iron Man.
Yeah.
And then him going on the journey Tony Stark goes on. It's like,
whoa.
And because he was hurting himself, it has to be noted, he wasn't, doing damage to other people's, wasn't going out of his way to hurt other people. Sure. So it's easy to root for someone like that who just got their shit together.
Yeah.
I think my favorite superhero experience. This is the comment. It's the mashup of Infinity War and Endgame.
Correct.
But I'd say Endgame. I will never forget that for the rest of my life.
You'll never forget that feeling. The feeling, like I get chills from numerous places, but like the end of Infinity War, where we like allow the villain to win, and you just see him like sitting and smiling, and like the music. I'll never forget.
And not
the music.
just that, but to make the protagonist. I mean, in a just a strictly literal sense, to make the protagonist of that movie the villain.
Yeah, kind of.
It was Thanos' story.
Totally, Thanos,
and the
won.
Avengers were in the way.
Yeah, right. But then and then like just the entire ride. But yeah, I mean like the feeling of like on your left, like that moment, I'll never forget.
Which is a callback to a movie from 2014. Like that's what speaks to the qualities of calculated, careful, long-term storytelling. Is everyone went.
I've gone to many opening nights of films because I'm a big fucking nerd and I like to wait in line.
Me too.
I never in my life heard the screams
No.
from those films.
Standing ovation in the middle of the movie.
I still see like TikTok of like, this was from opening night. You know what I mean? Like people are still living on that.
It's so crazy that people are making it up.
Yeah,
like, there are now fake videos of people who are in theater, like putting the audio of someone else's screening, and it's like people so desperately wanted to be there for that.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Oh, really?
I watched Endgame. So salty. I watched Endgame by myself in
Aww.
like a theater in New York, like amongst like not nerdy people. And I was like,
which is like special in its own way, I suppose.
It's special in its own way, but I missed the craziness of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that's why I liked actually No Way Home so much. Is that like I was there in the heat of it, and I got to experience.
People were wild in that film too.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I blacked out. Like. I punched my mom. I did. I punched my mom.
Sure, she appreciated that.
Well, for the evidence for the police, they hear it here on the podcast.
I'm a mom puncher.
That's gonna be a great. That's gonna be like a nice like edit.
but I think that summer of 2008, when you had Iron Man and Dark Knight, both dominating the box office, is the perfect example of how Marvel and DC can coexist.
Yeah, and that's what it is. That's what it is.
They're not mutually exclusive, and you don't have to be fan of one or the other.
No.
Speaking of them coexisting,
no, I will not. No, please don't.
Just like
no. Then you have to end all
crossover.
of it.
Literally, though.
Then you have to end all of it.
What? That's fine. That's fine.
That has to be it.
That's fine. But what if though?
You want to crossover?
Like just at the very fucking end. You know what I mean? Like
I think the DC people, for the most part, and
if we're gonna go super
bombastic, if we have crazy listeners, this is gonna be controversial. I just feel like the Marvel people, on the whole, whip their ass.
Wow. Well, honestly, that's a great question for the audience. Like, who do you think would win?
The pantheon of DC versus the pantheon of Marvel. Who wins that?
Hero-wise or like franchise-wise?
Let's do all of it. All of it. Villains, heroes, everybody.
Franchise-wise, Marvel has no need, and they would be doing DC a massive favor if they did that.
Yeah, probably.
Hero power-wise, I have no idea.
I think doing that is the most cynical, cheap marketing ploy you could possibly do to make us not care. And there are people I know who would be like, "This is the thing you have to do to make us care." And
potentially.
I'm like,
I know.
It just reads like someone put it on Reddit and wrote the script from Reddit.
Literally, they can coexist fine. Just stay dark. Just if DC I don't care what DC does, honestly, as long as they just stop trying to do what Marvel's doing.
Yeah,
then
your one-offs are better, or your trilogies here, or like your one-offs. They're the Joker, whatever you feel about the Joker, it is so uniquely DC.
I was obsessed. I loved it.
It is very uniquely DC.
Yep.
The Batman, same thing. Dark Knight is uniquely different from the Batman.
I'd be so curious if like Marvel did. Well, I mean, I guess they're actually. It's funny. That's probably something that they're like potentially trying now that they have
Werewolf
the ability.
by Night kind of did it.
Exactly.
So sick.
Yeah, which was great. It was actually dope.
I think they're bringing the Punisher back at some point. Blade, you could very easily go in that direction.
But I feel like Blade's getting his own movie.
He is.
He is. It's just in limbo hell.
Sure,
but Mahershala Ali is supposed to be playing Blade. So
they better do it soon. Yeah. Oh, I had another question that the second question I was So the second question I had was trailer wise. Do you feel like they would have? I know that they needed to sell some tickets, but do you think they would have been better off not revealing Michael Keaton?
Yes.
I think so too.
Yes.
I think so. I think I always fight for that.
Because that reveal would have been like
that'd been nuts.
Very nuts.
You want to get nuts?
Yeah. Oh my god.
My friend has this rule where she says that if it's a big reveal like that, or if it happens in the last like 30-45 minutes, do not put it in the trailer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And it's just like the because unfortunately like the chill I don't
we lost him.
I got chills watching the trailer, but not the
Now and I stand by it. I loved Michael Keaton in this bat, and I think he was the right choice in terms of temperament to offset Barry.
Yeah. The straight man, if you will.
I wonder, though, because Michael Keaton was, the first first cinematic Batman since Adam West.
Adam West. Adam West. Have you seen that Family Guy episode where he literally just sings Adam West over again?
But do you think Michael Keaton's Batman resonates with a younger audience?
Oh, they're speaking straight to us. They don't. I don't think they give an F about the.
But like anyone who was born from, even
the 90s forward,
the late 90s on.
Totally. Probably not.
Was he the Batman to do that? Like, and then further, is it further complicated by the fact that now you've kind of got CGI Michael Keaton doing things we've never seen Michael Keaton do. And I'm like,
hey, yo, he was kicking some of these dudes' butts, my guy.
He was.
Like, hardcore.
He was.
Which was kind of iconic.
It was really cool, but then it kind of took me out of it for a minute. I was like, wait. That's older Michael Keaton.
Yeah, no, the better moments is when they were actually showing the real stunt actors doing it. The CGI, I was like, that doesn't feel like the same. That doesn't feel like the same Batman.
But it doesn't bother me when I'll call him Batfleck does it because we've established Ben Affleck's Batman as kind of a closer to a superhero or really kind of a Tony Stark. Like his suit is like an Iron Man suit. Like his bat suit's an Iron Man suit, and he's really, physically imposing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that from him, but I think Michael Keaton was an interesting choice for the big spectacle scenes. I don't know.
Sure.
That's an interesting question all around.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I don't think he was meant to, speak to, a younger generation at all. I think he was strictly there for fan service.
Yeah.
And it worked really well.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to ask, a younger generation, they would be like, no, I don't know even who that is.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter to me.
And, that...
so let's just try to put ourselves in, the heads of a younger person who doesn't really understand the reference. It's just it's a different Batman. And that's it.
That's all it would be.
Does it really change the meaning of why he's there? I don't think so. I think you just lose the nostalgia.
Sure.
But that's pretty much it. You still get the same
because
message.
Killing him didn't do anything. I didn't.
No,
and I care about Michael Keaton's Batman, but
it's not our
fast.
Batman.
It's not our Batman, and it all happens so fast. And him suicide bombing the Kryptonian ship. I was kind of like,
why?
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
It's like you think because I'm sure there was a whole backstory he came up with to make it worth why not just I
can still be of use, so I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, it's do you think we all know that Batman is smarter than that. To not be
and they quickly throw it in
there's
that,
shields?
I can't eject.
And I love that, he's, the fix was, Flash is it's got shields, impenetrable. He's like, okay, cool.
Roger that.
Pulls up, and he's like, all right, that was,
it
was that easy.
It's
he doesn't seem that, Batman's not that impulsive.
Yeah.
This is a very ignorant question, but it's because I don't know a lot about the Flash as an origin story.
Mm-hmm. It was an interesting way to tell an origin story, very backwards.
The dark, spooky version of him that comes, that's not Reverse Flash, right?
No, and
it wasn't supposed to be.
It's lightly based off of there is the story. What is the storyline that this is based off of again?
Time Point, right?
Time Point, yeah.
That's Flashpoint.
Flashpoint. Yes. But yeah, and
so that's all self-contained.
Okay. Yeah, it's different. And and for spoiler, I can't remember if it's in Flashpoint that you find out or if it's just in the normal comics that they the person who does kill his mom is
Reverse Flash.
Reverse Flash, right?
Bro, I thought it was gonna be him for a hot second.
Reverse Flash.
No, I thought it was gonna be Flash.
Oh,
Because the way that they were playing it out, I was like, does he have to go back and kill his mom?
That's fucked up.
I was like, and he kind of sort of did.
Well, it's interesting that you brought that up because there is a theory going around based off of this movie, and the reason why they end with him still is that maybe he is going to turn into the villain eventually.
I'm telling you, the way that the storyline was
they're gonna shelve him for a while, and then they're gonna bring him in as
that would
Reverse
be
Flash.
That would be smart. Because the way this is playing out, when I forget the...
Because he's lost now. He's like kind of like Flash No Way Home.
Sure.
He's now like lost in the multiverse, and him trying to find his way back home is going to turn him into like a complete demented crazy person who feels like he has to kill his mom in order to...
I just really thought they were going to have him do that to complete like the cycle. I was like, this is going to get dark, bro. He has to go stab his mom.
Yikes.
Whoa.
Dark and gritty.
Yeah.
Well, you wanted dark and gritty.
You wanted it?
They could have, but here we are.
Well, I was reading that they had kind of tying up Barry's story with his father and trying to legally prove that he didn't kill his mother. That there were several endings in the courtroom that were filmed, and that one of them included Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and Ben Affleck. And they would all
written,
be in the
but not
courtroom.
filmed.
No, it was shot.
Oh my god, Henry Cavill was
there.
there.
And then they ditched it.
Whoa.
I believe it was shot. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that is what I read.
You heard it here first, folks.
But that he was supposed to, that was a possible ending. And then I think once the writing was on the wall that they weren't continuing forward with this, it's like just...
I love Henry Cavill.
I do too. And he's not going to be the Witcher anymore either.
Well, maybe he'll be James Bond.
If he's
That'd
James
be cute.
Bond,
He looks like James Bond.
If he's James Bond,
oh my god,
he looks like Ian Fleming's drawing of it, James Bond.
I need that.
That would be sex.
Have you seen?
There's no other choice.
There's no other choice.
What was the spy movie he was in?
Mission Impossible.
Well, Mission Impossible, he was great.
Yeah.
He was so good. Yeah,
with his vanishing pocket.
Yes,
pumping the arms. God, well,
boop.
Yeah, my mind is not what it used to be.
Spy movies?
Yeah, he was
another spy.
Somebody is screaming it as they're listening it, and I know because I've seen this movie several times.
I'll do this right now.
Mission Impossible.
Anyway, he'd make while he's refreshing my memory.
Yes.
Henry Cavill will be missed, but
yes,
The Man from U.N.C.L.?
Yeah, The Man from U.N.C.L.
I've
Thank you.
never
My
even
God,
heard of that.
So what is it?
I've never even heard of that
The Man
movie.
from U.N.C.L.
Never.
It was based on
ever.
an old TV show, I believe.
Huh.
But
Wait a minute.
Huh? Do you recognize it?
No. Oh, you know what? I have
very
seen this.
very stylish Cold War.
I
Takes place
have
in
seen
Rome?
this. Yeah.
Oh, you did see it?
I think I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Oh, okay.
Plays a British spy during the Cold War.
Listen, I don't care what he's in. He can't do wrong.
I
good.
know.
He's
He
real good.
literally can't do wrong.
I enjoy him.
I'm obsessed.
He's like not really that deep of an actor or anything, but he just like he does.
I think he
I
can
disagree.
be.
Yeah.
I think he can be. But that's why I was saying my kingdom for a Superman script that
That gives
is
him
good.
the chance to do that. Yes, I agree with that because I think
Superman's hard to write.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But that's where Captain America. I'll say it again. That's where Captain America flourished. Is like you take that man and you give him moral conundrums, even though he himself is virtuous and good.
Yeah, most of the stuff he's done has been he at least the stuff that I've seen him in. To be fair, it's just all been like fairly subtle and
I haven't
level.
seen The Witcher, so I don't.
And The Witcher's honestly like going into it, I was just like, oh, he's gonna be so good at this because The Witcher is like. Poor Johnny, one note. He's just like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Because they're actually like the character is like a Witcher is like devoid of all emotion.
Devoid
That's
of
part
everything.
of that's like part of
Oh,
how
well.
you become a Witcher.
Okay.
Is like you like all emotion is stripped of you. I was like, oh, this
Well,
is gonna be
convenient.
this is gonna be really
Whoops.
good. But yeah, he was fucking brilliant as that character.
Do you guys ever see him as a kid in the Man? Is it the what is it? Not the Man in the Iron Mask. My mom's gonna kill me. She loves this movie. Oh my god.
Was this from like the 90s?
He was a literal child, but he looks exactly the same. But he's just like a
smaller.
cherub version. Hold on.
Okay, find it.
While you're looking for that, I would say the Flash was as good an ending to the Snyder era, even though this isn't Snyder's. I'm not pinning it on Snyder. I think it's as good an ending to that era of DC as you probably could have gotten at this
apparently
point.
It isn't.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, we're still. I from what I understand, there still is another Aquaman in in the pipe, and it is the one that we are familiar with.
The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
With,
He's in that?
Bro.
Is he Jim Caviezel's son?
He's literally. Hold on, I'm gonna find a picture.
Is
He's
he Edmund's son? Edmund Dantes' son? I used to watch that movie all the time.
Oh,
He looks exactly the same. He's just like a child.
A little baby.
What was Edmund's son's name? Oh yeah. And then the if you watch Succession, Edmund's love interest.
Oh
yeah. I forgot all about
exactly
it.
the same.
I forgot all about it.
Look at him. Look at him.
His little baby. Oh yeah.
I love him.
Yeah, he was a perfect
he hadn't
stylistic.
He
fit
hadn't
for that
discovered creatine yet.
No. Pre-creatine.
movie. If you think that's all he's taking, I've got I've got some beachfront property.
He eats 5 dozen eggs.
But I think this was probably the best ending you could expect.
Yeah.
Based on how things have gone.
Yeah. And I think that maybe James Gunn's opinion, I think that he was given a gift. Like I think with that I do believe that was it gave him a gift to not have to explain why.
Well, and
you know
I'm sure it was part of it was like, if I'm going to come Kevin Feige this over here, I need
clean slate.
Give me clean slate.
Make me work with parts that I don't want to work with.
I don't know if it's been talked about, but like, did he meddle at all in that film at all? Like, did he
He was at the carpet.
Oh, I know he was.
I don't.
But was there any kind of like, could you just give me maybe this one little morsel, because that will really help me in,
because this movie was already being shot.
Yeah.
Well before the announcement. So
but there wasn't any official like, oh yeah, he definitely like changed this one part because it was.
If anything, he might have had sway on stuff that happens at the very end. But I don't know.
Because yeah, honestly, the post credit scene, like, I was like, oh, where are we going? What is this?
Well, and somebody asked Gal Gadot if she's gonna come back as Wonder Woman, and she said, meetings had taken place, and we obviously know Aquaman's going ahead. But they could be different. They could be different versions, or
yeah, maybe,
or he could just say, I'm taking what I want, and
dude,
go on the rest.
Either of those would be really hard to replace because they both did a really good job.
They were iconic, yeah.
Yeah, they both did a really good job.
They did.
I don't know who would step in for those people.
Same. Yeah, you got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Well,
did we do it?
I mean, that turned into a kind of an existential discussion on superheroes,
As
which
it
honestly
usually does when we talk about DC. Honestly, I feel.
Well, it does, but I felt like even with like something like Suicide Squad, we were able to I think we didn't mention Suicide Squad, but I think that was another entry that was like uniquely DC. That it's like, good, you're not worried about all the other stuff.
Also James Gunn.
What? Also James Gunn. But I felt like this movie is actually super appropriate to talk about all of that because it asks those big multiversal questions, and then it's like, well,
we didn't even say like, did you it's funny, I actually had never that was one thing I did appreciate, is that it was a multiversal idea I hadn't been described before, like where you
different from Marvel's.
Different, yeah. Sure. Like if you change the future, you're actually just going into a completely different like universe that has a completely separate past too. That's a cool. I like
where Marvel talked about the branch timelines and stuff, and they're talking about intersecting. Like some things will be exactly the same, but not everything, which is actually kind of a convenient. You're not painting yourself into a corner. Yeah. With storytelling,
right? Smart. Well, and you know what? And remember my confusion with timelines versus universes. Are they the same or are they different? And I feel like that still hasn't completely I haven't completely got locked in on
the idea of dimensions within universes.
Yeah,
every universe has their own set of dimensions.
Yeah, Marvel got some splaining to do.
I need whiskey.
Marvel got some splaining. The DC multiverse actually, I think, it's simpler and a little bit easier to understand.
Maybe. We'll see what they do with it.
Yeah.
Bring our pet back.
Yes. Apparently they are. Good.
Well, That was The Flash.
Yes. Right, and this is a podcast.
This is a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you for being here.
I'm so glad this finally
sharing
happened.
Your wonderful
You're
perspective.
never coming back again.
I'll come back as many times, or as least as not many times you guys want me to.
Oh, you're gonna come back all the time now.
And Alyssa will be back with us. We're gonna jump into Secret Invasion.
Oh my god, we have
which
so
drops
much to
tomorrow
talk about.
tonight. Technically, this is being a Tuesday.
A Tuesday. And then Dial of Destiny.
And then Dial of Destiny next week, which
Wow.
we're at the
Wow.
premiere of.
Listen, you tell me when you want to show up, because I got clipboards and reports on all of these.
Good.
I'm ready.
Excellent.
Oh, as far as Dial, I don't know if you can even answer this. As far as Indiana Jones goes, is that one where you were asked to
be nice?
I was not asked to be nice at that one.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
No NDAs.
All right. Well, this is Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Dino Nicandros.
And I'm Daniel Dawson.
And I'm Chris Villain.
May the force be with you always.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.